All right, we are ready for round two for tonight's regional fishing report. And we're going to be bringing in Captain Massa for the Georgia regional fishing report. How are you, Captain Massa?
Another great day in McIntosh County. Loving it.
Yeah, I was looking at your Facebook and Instagram. Don't see anything very recent, but a lot of your other content looks really good. So tell us what's going on over there.
Man, I tell you what, Georgia is busting right now. This year, I predict to be one of the best years ever for the redfish bite. Every time I go out, this is not even an exaggeration. We're catching 30, 35 reds. Right now, the trick is, or the key is, that they're all a little short. But the upcoming fishing season is going to be one for the memory books. 14, 13-inch trout and redfish all over. And we're mixing in some keepers in there in the slot, but boy, oh boy, it's going to be one for the record books, that's for sure.
That sounds really exciting. What other fish are you seeing besides the lovely reds and the trout?
Man, I'm really been excited about catching tarpon. That's one of my bucket lists. I'm fishing so hard for them. I'm seeing them roll all over. A great tarpon fishery right here in McIntosh, and it's off the chain. I'm really excited. The other day, for the first time, I had one roll over on a topwater plug. An adventure of a lifetime. Couldn't even believe it to see it come up and roll on that topwater plug. Unfortunately, one shake of the head and he threw that plug pretty far. But they're out there, and they're out there thick right now. So the tarpon are running, and then we also have the triple tail. Man, every time I go by a buoy, my eyes are peeled for the triple tail because they're on there. I have a couple crabbing friends of mine that crab, and one of them crabs at night and checks his traps, and he says that he's seeing them out at night on those buoys. I've never tried that, but maybe one day I might have to add that to my repertoire.
That's exciting. Have you caught a triple tail before?
Oh yeah, caught plenty of triple. Really love to target them. You know, on charters, you're at the whim of your guests. So to go on a specific triple tail trip is very specific. So you got to get just the right person who wants to target them. And you do a lot of riding, a lot of looking, but one or two of those fish is a dream day.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we get into this, because I really want to learn a lot about this from you. We have a trivia question.
Right.
So tonight's trivia question is, what is the northernmost region that the Fishing Channel covers for the regional fishing reports? So whoever has the first correct answer will win a prize. So we have BKD tonight. Some really nice soft plastics here. So that's the prize for tonight. So let's see who gets the right answer. What's that?
We have one bag of jig heads.
Oh, okay. So Grant wants to sweeten the pot a little bit. All right, so 5/8 jig heads from BKD. Grant had mentioned in the previous show, with BKD, you have to clip the tip a little bit to be able to get it fully flushed with the jig head. Just a tip for anyone who doesn't know that. So I'm excited for tonight's trivia question, but I really want to get into the triple tail. So please share all of your wisdom with us.
Well, again, triple tail is a fish that you have to know you're going after and understand that you're going to spend a little time riding because you're checking the buoys. We're out in open water at times. We've got some great spots that we know they hang out at, and it's just going spot to spot to spot. For me, what I really like is a really simple setup. I'm talking 20-pound leader hooked straight to my braid with just a number 2, maybe a number 3 kale hook straight to a shrimp, and I'm going to pitch it right up there. I love the fact that I have a trolling motor with spot lock that we can get right downstream from him and float that shrimp right up to his face, and they love to eat. So again, it's very simple fishing. Once you see them, they're finicky at times. You could throw a shrimp right around them all over, and if he's not wanting a shrimp, you have to adjust. So I always like to have some mud minnows or possibly a small finger mullet, And sometimes they won't even eat that, and you have to go to a soft plastic. A paddle tail works great. So having 3 or 4 rods ready to pitch a few different things until you find exactly what he likes is always best tactic to have. So again, we're riding, we're looking, and spotting them up and being patient. You just can't run right up on them. You have to motor down far, and then I like to take that iPod and creep, or my Rodan, and creep right up to them and pitch that live shrimp. Seems to do the trick for me.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. So one, you mentioned open water. What do you mean by open water?
Well, typically where I'm fishing in the sound or in the inshore. And so we're doing creeks and creek mouths and deep in the creeks as the water cools down. But in the open water, I would consider if you're going out into the sound and you could see the ocean. If you're looking at the ocean, I consider that open water. And even in the sound, in the middle, there's always buoys, there's always channel markers that they're hanging on. But we're running down the beach, looking for those buoys on the beach, looking for a couple shipwrecks that we have that are out of the water that hold them. So open water being where I can see the ocean is what I consider that.
Thank you. So also for clarification, when you mentioned the paddle tail, how big is that paddle tail?
Well, it depends. I've been sticking with just a real simple 4-inch white paddle tail. There's a couple different brands, but about 4 inches and white is what's been working for me.
Yeah. White usually works for me. But you're in Georgia, so without obviously giving spots away, what's the cities or something that you could give us as some kind of indicator of what area this is in for people who don't know Georgia who are listening as well?
Well, I think a lot of people will know St. Simon's Islands, and St. Simon's.
Love St. Simon's.
Yeah, a great destination for just vacation and having a good time, and the fishery is great there. And then Savannah will be north of us, so we're right sandwiched in between St. Simon's and Savannah, McIntosh County. A historic city. I've said that a few times, that our history is rich and have a lot to do besides the fishing. I see the Fishing Channel as a regional report, so a lot of the people watching will want to know what can they do besides fish. When the fishing's done, is there something to do? And there's definitely a lot to do in McIntosh.
For sure. How about, do you have any information or golden nuggets for someone who's kayaking in this area?
And I've been talking a lot about kayaking because right now the best red fishing is up in the grass flats, and a 23-foot boat, even my 21-foot limits you to getting way deep in the grass flats. So what I could say is that right now at the creek mouths, when the tide is high, getting into those creek mouths is the ticket, but up onto the grass flats. So there's a wealth of opportunity there. And it just so happens I've been talking a lot about trying to boat trip that has their kayak. Paddling a kayak is a workout, and it sometimes limits you to how far you can go. But if you can imagine going to some of these remote locations, load the kayak up on the boat, take you to a spot and let you off where you probably couldn't paddle to, is a situation that I'm really looking into deeply. So that's going to be an avenue that I'm exploring big time.
Yeah, for sure. We took a trip to St. Simon's, and when we went over the bridge that led to the island, I'm always saying this to Grant whenever we travel. I was like, that's a good fishing spot. That's a good fishing spot. We need to go there. We just need to stop every river and creek. But yeah, when we went over the bridge, there was a lot of grass and a lot of narrow places where I thought that was a really great place to fish. Great to have a kayak, also great to have a boat. And it's just so diverse in that area. It'd be great to have both. I'm personally a little nervous about the alligators, but I'd probably buddy up for that. But yeah, it's a beautiful fishery. When we went there, everything's just beautiful about both of those areas.
I tell you, I really see kayak fishing as, the new, or not new for a lot of people. They've been doing it for a while, but it's really blowing up, and I see a lot of value in that. And combining, getting people to spots that they normally couldn't leave from a ramp or leave from the shore, and putting them on some places that I know have some fish is going to be a game changer, I think, for a lot of kayakers and myself especially. Developing just the right tool to load the boat and launch it safely, and drive it safely to those spots is going to be the ticket. And I've got some ideas on that. So coming soon to a
Yeah, so stay tuned to Captain Massa's Facebook and Instagram, which we'll post here in a minute. One other question, which we actually don't cover so much in our reports, it just kind of came to mind just because I've done this a little bit. I had a season of bank fishing and pier fishing. Can you speak to either of those for your area?
I tell you what, it seems like a lot of people are going off, and some of my best spots happen to be at bridges, happen to be at a place that they're casting out into the water, and I'm casting to the bank. Always makes me smile when I think about the difference there. Yeah, every bridge that you come across and you see all those oysters on it, and you see all that growth on those bridges, it is an opportunity for some great fishing. Again, where I'm at, we have the Altamaha River, and the Altamaha flows a lot of fresh water. So getting out to the Altamaha and getting beyond that's a little better for our fishery, getting out of that freshwater flow. But when the freshwater is not flowing, which is a lot of the times, those fish pile up on those docks and bridges and things that are inshore. So again, like you said, every time I go over some of these bridges, I'm like, I got to get my boat there. Looking on the air, this spot. So there's plenty of opportunity for that, and we have a couple great bridges with lights on them right here in McIntosh. That the night fishing, we have people stacked up on them nightly during the summer and in the winter months. That they're lit up all the way down the bridge, so attracts a lot of bait fish and some good fishing on that.
For sure. So let's get to some other great fish. Everyone's talking reds. What do you have for us in your area regarding how to get on those great reds?
Fish again are running like crazy, and then the bigger trout. We're coming around to the time when big trout are coming into starting to pull off of those open water areas and the mouths and starting to head back up the creek. So I'm excited about the trout season. But right now, I think the most fun and almost a guaranteed, I'm dialing it in, are the big bull reds. August, September, November, our bull red season is in full swing. I've got a couple locations that I can go to and feel very comfortable that we're going to pull in a few bull reds. A half a crab, a pogie, or some cut is candy to them. So I'm excited about those bull reds because there's nothing like the feeling of that head shake when you get one of those on.
Yeah, I feel like I'm falling in love all over again from my last experience when you described this. But we actually went out yesterday. We're in the Chesapeake Bay area in Maryland, and we were really hoping for some reds. It was a ghost town in the water. Even some of the best charter guides that were out there were saying, it was really tough yesterday. I don't know what was going on. You never know what's going on and what causes this. But the bait was definitely showing off. I thought it was quite funny. So a lot of schools of bait were flying by us, and we're casting. We're like, we're going to get it. Nothing was there, but the bait was feeling so good that they knew there was no predators in the area. They were jumping out of the water. There was crabs floating on top of the water, and we were pushing open water. That's how confident the bait was feeling around us regarding reds. But what do you find successful for you to get those beautiful beasts on board?
Again, I really am a fan of a crab. A half of a crab seems to be the redfish choice for me. Every time if I have a crab or a pogie on there, my crab gets bit first almost every time. So that's what I'm going with is if I had to pick one thing, I'm going to get a bucket full of crabs. I'm really fortunate and blessed to have some friends that are crabbers, and just a phone call away to having as many as I need for a charter. So that's number one. And then number two is mullet. Man, mullet is the fish of the sea that everything likes. So a cut mullet is number two in my book. And if you can have a fresh cut mullet, you're really in business. So those two are the redfish baits of choice for bull reds. Now, if I'm going for just regular reds, I'm going to go with a finger mullet, a mud minnow. Because you can cast them over and over and still they'll be alive and durable. And number two, it's you match the feed, and they're feeding on mullet right now in a big way.
Okay. So aside from live bait, how about plastics? I know that, crab is definitely a good one. The mullet definitely, but what about plastics? So if somebody is trying to go after them with plastics, what do you suggest?
Well, I have just recently had a charter where the gentleman, he wanted to specifically focus on artificial, and it's not too often that I have a chance to do that, where that's what they want to do. A lot of people want to just come and catch fish, and the easiest or the most reliable way is obviously, or for us, is live bait. So when I get a chance to fish artificial, I get really excited about it. And again, I'm a big fan of very simple. I'm not looking for a lot of colors, a lot of flash. There's two choices that I go with, and I stick with it. I probably should spread my wings a little bit, but I go with a paddle tail, white, and number two is a green speckled paddle tail. Seems to be that those work, and they work really well. When they're not biting on the bigger 4 inches, like a 3-inch paddle tail is what I'll go to. And then my third bait of choice for lures or for artificial is going to be a DOA shrimp. It feels like I'm cheating back to a shrimp. I'll put some on that and free line it just with a weighted hook and cast it out there and just pop, 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 slow and steady is number 3. So you can't go wrong with those 3. If they're not biting on them, you go into the artificial swim baits. That would be number 4.
Okay. Well, aside from technique, rod, bait, actually, let's go with rod. What kind of rod do you suggest for this type of fish?
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And what I got right here is my setup that I bring on my charters. I always bring 6 or 8 rods with me, and always equipped and ready with different setups. And what I started off with when I started chartering was I started off with the Battle 3s. Again, I think the Battle 3s are the workhorse. They're consistent, seem to always work, and never have a problem with them. Just love them, and they work real well. But then, as you progress, and everybody does, you move up. And then I went up with the Concept. The Penn Concept is a great reel. It's the lightest reel Penn makes, and you can cast it all day long. I love that Penn Concept. But on the bigger slot fish, you might come into a little bit of flex on them. And I've experienced where they bound up just a little bit on a really big red, I wouldn't maybe say a bull red, but a big upper limit slot red. I've run into a little bit of trouble with that. So I moved up to the Slammer. And the Slammer 3 has been just the dream rod for a reel for me. I love the Slammer. I have 3 of them that are always on the boat, and was so blessed here in the last few days to pick up the Slammer 4, brand new, just out. Got to fish it one time, and man, a lot of people love their other reels, but I'm a Penn person, and when I got that Slammer 4, it's the next level. So I'm so excited about slowly upgrading my battles to all Slammers, and then I'll be able to have a boat full of. You pick up a rod on my boat, you're in a reel, you're going to have a quality setup that's going to be consistent, going to cast a mile. The drags on them are exceptional, and the smoothness. You know, a lot of people say that the pens are a little heavier than some of the Shimano, some of the other brands, and that's true. But I believe that the solidness of them, it just feels right, and especially for maybe someone who's not as proficient in fishing, that they're just hardy. Beat them around, you can cast them out. You're not gonna. I'm not gonna. I haven't messed one up or had a charter person guest mess up one of my slammers or any of my reels within the pen line. So they're not so finicky or I don't want to say light duty. And I wouldn't say that a Shimano is. I'm not. Some Shimano people will be offended by that. Not my intention at all. Just personal preference. So here's that battle or that Slammer 4.
Nice.
Great reel. I tell you what, it's so smooth. It's ready to go. I got 20-pound here, and I'll use a 20-pound leader. And it just seems to cast and work all day long. So great question. Having quality setups when you go out is a game changer, in my opinion. You just have to have good.
Definitely. Now, and just to give the audience an idea, what size reds are we talking about? And to stress the importance of having the good gear that you're stressing. So what size? Are we 40? Are we 50? What are we?
When you're talking about a bull red, you're talking in the 40s and 50s. Absolutely.
Yep.
You know, you aren't legal to keep. But when I talk about a slot red, I'm talking between 14 and 26. So 6-inch redfish, you need to be able to torque him down because he'll run pretty hard. And what I love about a redfish is that they don't give up, especially when you get them over that 27-inch in the 30s and 40s. The fight's no other. There's no feeling like a bull red. You can have a shark on there, you can have a stingray, you can have a jack, all those fish, I can tell. But when you got that bull red and he shakes that head a few times, there's no mistake in that. So for that, a 3500 will do the trick. But you know, when I'm out there for specifically going for those bull reds, the bigger 40 or 50 inches, I'm leaning towards a spin fisher, 6500, 7500, or I've got a battle 3000.
Grant's getting really excited as you're explaining this. He's making all kinds of noises over here.
Here's the one thing that I absolutely breaks my heart is that if someone on a trip loses the fish of a lifetime because of a malfunction. That right there is something that is just not acceptable. You know, it happens. You can't say that it never happens. Rods break, reels tangle up, but if you don't have good gear and you lose that fish, that's a heartbreaker. And number two is if you don't take the time to retie. A nick in a line is a recipe for disaster. So on the boat, you'll see that I'll pull off 6 to 8 feet of my braid all the time. I'll retie because I want to know that when you hook into it, it's not going to be a failure due to a nick. And there's so much structure around us that it happens. If you get caught up, it's a nick in that line is likely. So it takes a little bit more time, but I tell everybody it's well worth it because you never want to miss that fish of a lifetime because you didn't take that few extra minutes to retie. A lot of people get frustrated when they get hung up, you know, because I do a lot of bottom fishing. Around here, we do a lot of cork fishing, but I'm on the bottom and I love it. And I tell them, never worry about getting hung up on the bottom. That's why they sell hooks and packs. That's why they sell leader in yards, not inches. It's okay. If you're not getting hung up, you're not where the fish are. So
that is true. So true.
Keeping that gear in top position is just so critical that it takes a little extra time, but knowing that you just don't want to be broke off and say, wow, I knew. And there's been too many times when I've known, oh man, I know I should retie and I didn't. And I've priced until I've learned it's time. If I feel it, if I even feel like we broke off because of there was rubbing on the bottom, I'm going to pull off 6 or 8 feet of that braid and retile leader. Doesn't take that long if you've done enough of them.
Mm-hmm. Wow, definitely important words of wisdom. Grant and I fished in Georgia, got smaller reds, and nothing but oyster beds and shallow. So you didn't have a choice. If you wanted that fish, you had to go for it.
That's right.
So very important words of wisdom. So we have, what time is it? We're just checking. Okay, we have a couple of minutes. Let's mention also how to get a hold of you. Very important. So if someone wants to book in Georgia, St. Simons area, Savannah area, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, I love to draw people to Coastal Creek Charters on Facebook. I've been getting a lot of following on that. I'm really excited. It doesn't seem like much, but to me, when I hit that 500 followers mark, it's not a lot, but I was really proud of that, and encouraging everybody to follow so that they know what's going on in our area. I've got Instagram, but a simple text message is the best way. I respond to my text messages very quickly. My number is right there on the bottom of the screen. So text message, Facebook, Messenger, you can get a hold of me, and we can schedule something up in no time flat.
A couple of things I'll say about Captain Massa. One, I saw that you have 5-star rating as a captain, by the way. Also, because of your background in education, I love that all of your Instagram, your Facebook, your videos that you share, the quick hot tips are always full of amazing information. And it's just not information. I mean, you're entertaining. And I love how you bring your family into it. I just really enjoy looking at those pages because I definitely learned something from the videos that you post and the quick tips that you put up as well. So just want to let everybody know that you're not just getting on fish. You're going to be educated. You're going to learn something about your rod. Every piece and aspect that goes into fishing, you will learn something from Captain Massa and also have a great experience as well.
Well, I appreciate that. And one other quick aspect is that I always got to give the glory to God. He's been so good to me and my family, and so much. And one of the best things about being a charter guide is, I said this the last time, is that I've met so many great people and so many people of faith that have just changed my life. So thankful to him, that's for sure.
For sure. So thank you so much for your time as usual. I really wanted to go in the tread. I know you were really excited about that, but we'll get another chance to talk about this. But thank you so much for your time, and hope you have a great rest of your week, and fish on, everybody.
Peace. Have a great night.
Goodbye.